Hey guys, it's time now to do my out-of-box review for the Master Grade Gundam Amazing Red Warrior. I know this is one that you guys have been not so patiently waiting for. A few people have been asking me, when is this review coming? Well, finally it's here, so I hope this will be useful to some of you guys who were looking forward to seeing this. I do have the HG on hand as well, right here, which I will be comparing this to. For anyone who's interested, I will say right off the bat, of course the Master Grade is much better than the HG, but I don't know, depending on maybe how much money you want to spend, how much you really like the Amazing Red Warrior, how much you think you really care about the inner frame and some of the gimmicks, you know, maybe you still want to go with the HG. I don't know, we'll just have to see. Anyway, so just once again, I wanted to first say a big thank you to MindFenix Hobby Store for sending me this kit. Guys, if you're in Australia, definitely be sure to check them out. I've got some good stuff there. And so let's get into it. Pretty simple, fun kit to build. The inner frame is mostly going to be taken from the 2.0 RX-782 Gundam. So a lot of the inner frame is not new, but quite a bit of it is new, of course, to accommodate for the new armor parts that we have on this. There are some pretty cool gimmicks built in, which we'll take a look at when we talk about the articulation here shortly. We, of course, have a lot of different weapon options, which, again, I'm not going to show every single different weapon combination that you can do, because there's quite a lot of them. And I think you guys will at least just be able to see just some of the examples and what you can do with those, and then you can, you know, use your imagination or just buy the kit and experiment to see what else you can make with that. So I'll just try to show you just some of the basic stuff and some of the stuff that it highlights in the manual that is also important as well. So that is it for mostly the basics of this kit. Again, I thought it's definitely an improvement on the high grade. My big complaints with the high grade was especially the backpack. Holding the weapons was not so easy with that, but I think that has been remedied quite well with this kit. Maybe the other complaints was basically just kind of a lack of detail, and this, of course, being a master grade, it has quite a bit more detail in terms of the inner frame. On the outside, it's still relatively plain. We do have some nice details around on the outer armor, but still really not all that much, which, I mean, depending on what you want, I mean, maybe that's what you want, maybe you don't like a whole lot of exterior details, and you know, you can always add more if you want to. So if you're an experienced modeler, or, I mean, if you're not experienced, you got to start somewhere, right? So there's plenty of opportunity to go in and add more details, more panel lines, just things like that on this kit. So it's a little bit of a blank slate in that way if you wanted to go in and add more. So that might be good too. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at everything and show off some of the articulation as well. And of course, we'll start off with the head, or should we shake things up a little bit and start off with the feet? We'll just stick with the head first. There is going to be a sticker there for the eyes, a foil sticker there, a foil sticker as well for the back of the head. Two of our only 3 foil stickers for this kit there, so not a whole lot of those. That's pretty good. It is a master grade after all. Pretty cool details there in the head. We do have some gray of the inner frame of the head poking through the vents, as well as the Vulcans. So the Vulcans are already in gray. Will be easy to paint them, or if you aren't going to paint, they're nice that they're already there in gray. Pretty cool shape overall. I think it's pretty good. I'm not one of those people who is super stickler about all of the tiny little details and proportions being totally accurate. I think I've heard people say that they thought the head was maybe not totally accurate, either on this one or the HG, I don't remember, but anyway, I think the head looks fine. The articulation is going to be pretty good, as we do have really nice movement there in the neck. Up is only going to be about this much, sadly, because then the back of the head is hitting the collar piece there. One of the very few yellow pieces on the kit, just there in the vents. But down is going to be plenty down, which should be good for its like descending from heaven pose. You can have it looking down very easily. That's pretty good. And then just otherwise side to side on an angle like that. So pretty good movement, and then rotating, of course. Here in the chest, we do have an opening cockpit hatch. I believe this part is just going to open up. It doesn't really want to stay up very well, and it was kind of weird installing that. I think maybe I installed it wrong or something, I'm not sure, but there is that hatch that just kind of slides open but doesn't want to stay open. Anyway, you can see the pilot figure inside there. I'm just gonna keep that closed, I guess. And then here in the waist, as you're probably noticing, it's bending quite a bit. We do have a really nice movement there at the waist, bending back quite far, or not the waist I should say, in the stomach, bending forward quite far, which that's almost coming out. Looks like it's not even supposed to be like that, but and then we can just move that back into place and then sort of press it down to keep it nice and firm in there. So pretty good movement, and then movement side to side is pretty nice. So I'd say very good there in the stomach section. Okay, so for the chest vent gimmick, now we just have the vents, but of course those do open up to expose some missiles inside. So what you need to do is go around to the backpack. I'll move this stuff out of the way a little bit, and you'll see there's a small little switch there. Let me grab a beam saber handle. Beam saber here, and if we press that switch forward, I'll just try to show you here, and then the doors pop out like that. The missile pop out. It basically moves these doors up and down to make that come out. So pretty cool. And then when you want to press that back, I think you can pull that back if you can, or just press it back from here. Just press that back in there. Then you will have to close these manually, I've found, or again, possibly I did something wrong, but you will have to come in and carefully try to close these manually. There, like that. This sword piece comes in handy for that. So of course we have that on both sides if you want to use that. I just prefer it closed. I will show you guys that open again here in a little while. But that's that. The waist, I found is now from just moving it, it does come apart and come up and down very easily there. Here on the shoulders, these parts on the top, we have nice gray detail there inside. For those thrusters, these are going to move up and down and forward and back and every single which way. So you can move those back like that, no problem. The shoulders are pretty nice. They're going to come out nice and far. Here, a really nice gimmick there in this 2.0 frame. It's really coming in handy. So those shoulders are going to come out nice and far. Really great articulation there. Nice movement here in the arm. Double joint, no problem there. This shield is just attached on this ball joint, so that can move around. We've got some nice gray detail in there for, I believe that's just little beam cannons. I like this tiny little shield. Yeah, it's kind of like so tiny and cute, silly, but I don't know, I like it, it's cool. And then the hands are of course nice 2.0 hands. The thumb is just one piece as I've just popped it out, but the other fingers are separated into two pieces, so we have a joint in the middle of each finger. Now the first finger is separate and the three fingers are all joined together, but they each have their own ball joint. So if you wanted, you could cut those three fingers apart and you can have each finger moving on their own individually. I didn't do that at this time, but if you wanted to, you can easily do that just with your knife. Just cut the fingers apart and then just put them in individually. Of course, be a little bit careful that you don't cut anything you're not supposed to, but if you wanted to make it so that each different finger is separate, you can do that, so that's pretty good. So overall, so far the top half, really nice articulation, I would say. It's going pretty well. Let's go ahead and move down into the lower half. The front skirt, as you may have just saw, can open as well. It just slides down to expose missiles there in the front skirt as well. Pretty simple gimmick, and I feel that is also probably going to be sliding down at times when you don't want it to, if you're not careful, so just be careful with that. And then of course these can move around all over the place, as these are just sort of on kind of ball joint sort of attachments there. Same for the side skirts. These have a sliding gimmick in here as well. This part will slide down to expose an attachment point, which we'll come back to when we talk about the accessories. That part also doesn't really seem too secure. Careful, if you slide that up and down too much, might get loose. Here on the backpack, I forgot to mention, but we're going to talk about the backpack more later. These thrusters here are just kind of loosely floating in there as they're attached on a ball joint, but we do have some pretty good movement with those for doing some nice different posing. These articulated arms I'll come back to. The back skirt is 2 separate pieces, so those are going to move separately and come off the ball joints if you're not careful, like that. And nothing in the back skirt to hold any weapons, like with the Gundam. This part usually folds down and you can put the rocket launcher, the bazooka, there in the back, but we don't have anything for this kit like that, sadly. It would have been cool to have that gimmick. Of course we can attach the weapons to the backpack, but if you wanted to maybe attach the bazooka on, or sorry, yeah, the bazooka onto the back skirt, can't do it. So then moving on to the legs, we've got just a nice swivel here at the top. They're gonna come up all the way with a nice double joint there at the knee, with this knee part moving separately. Really nice articulation there. It's almost 180 degrees in that knee joint, so really nice. I like the way that that knee part moves. It's a really cool knee there. Definitely good. And then down at the feet, we do have some toe movement here, just a little bit. That's not really going to go down at all. If you want the toes pointed down, that's really about as far as you're going to get. This front ankle piece, as you can see, has these like pistons here on the side, so that's pretty cool the way that that's moving. Just be careful those don't come out. And then this front part can just move kind of side to side like that. That's just attached to this main ankle joint part. And then the ankles can move side to side like that, but here again, just be careful when you're moving that side to side that this piston can come out there, so just be a little bit careful. I think they could have made that just 1 or 2 millimeters longer, just to prevent that from happening. And that's pretty much it for the articulation. I hope that wasn't too long or too rushed. Somewhere in between there. I was trying to get through that pretty quickly because there's a lot to cover with this kit, a lot of these accessories, and why don't we get started on those now. I think that was pretty much everything I needed to point out on the kit. Didn't point out on this arm, but I think you guys probably saw it. This part, of course, there's no articulation or anything. It's just the part that holds the beam saber effect part in there. We'll get to that shortly. So let's talk about some of the accessories. The first thing, now that we mention it, is the beam saber effect parts. We have 1 long and 1 short. So we actually have 2 long and 2 short, but you can only attach 1 onto this kit at one time, so you really only need 1, and here we just have 2 different options if you want a long one or a short one. So that very simply just plugs in there like that, and that's it. So there's that. Next thing is a 1/100 scale pilot figure of Meijin Kawaguchi. I just threw on some pen line accent wash on there just so you guys could see it a little bit better, just see some of those details. Pretty cool. If you wanted to go ahead and paint that, or just like I did, just throw some wash on it, then at least you've got the details on it brought out. You just set it up on your desk like that. It'd be pretty cool as well. Then let's talk about my favorite of the weapons first, the bazooka. I believe this is a hyper bazooka, it says. There's our third foil sticker is for the sight on this. This is going to extend just like the HG, extends like that, and the handle folds out. So you can just hold this in the hand just like so, and then just have it up over the shoulder like a kind of normal bazooka. But then we of course have this attachment piece here, which can rotate to either the left or the right side for mounting that onto the backpack. If you either want it on the left side or the right side, you can choose. Some pretty cool details all around. It's a nice looking bazooka, which is why it's probably my favorite of the weapons. Next thing is the handgun. Probably my least favorite of the weapons just because it's really simple, basic, doesn't really look very good. It looks like just like a really cheap weapon out of 00, which is not really my personal taste. But we'll notice here the handle is able to move all the way back, and that is for attaching the swords on the end. We'll come back to that in a moment. And then here in the middle, you'll notice all these guns have this part. It's really cool how they engineered this, that if you don't want to have this mounted on the backpack, you don't have to show any ports here. It's just a piece, but if you want to mount this on the backpack, you can just rotate this part, and it's not really very easy to do. So let's see, it's really tight. I imagine once you've got paint on there, it's going to be even tighter. But there's some notches on this part to make it easier to rotate this, but even still, it's not very easy to do. There we go. And then once you rotated that 90 degrees, then you've exposed the ports. It's just on both sides. Then you can mount that on the backpack or mount it together with something else, which I'll talk about momentarily. So let's talk about these swords here while we've got this out. We've got two different lengths, a shorter one and a longer one. We've got those nice silver parts on there. The problem with the silver parts is that they are going to show nub marks on there very easily. Now that's smooth, there's nothing there, but we can see the mark is left over from where that was attached to the runner before. Now these can be just held in the hand. There's just a handle there on those, so you can just hand hold these just like this, or they can be plugged into the front of the handgun, like so, where they're basically acting as a bayonet, and you can use it just as a handgun like so. Or we can just tilt that handle back like that, and then we've got a long sword here with this thing attached to it if you want. So we've got some options there. If you wanted to use the longer one, then you've got a super long mega sword, and then here is it next to the Gundam. You can see it's taller than the actual Gundam when you've got that connected there. So pretty cool options for that. We're not quite done with that. I will come back to that momentarily. Let's move on to this beam rifle. So again, this one is basically just kind of a larger version of this for the most part. We do have a little bit of a tip on there. This handle can just fold all the way down like so, all the way forward, or then back if you want to have it as a beam rifle. You'll notice that same connection piece here, and then you'll notice this empty space here in the back, which I'll come back to again momentarily. And then we have this, which I believe it was called the beam pistol or short rifle, I believe it was called, just the short rifle like that, which is basically just super tiny, simple. But this part is basically serving as like the center part for basically the rest of the different weapon options we have. So one of our options is a Gatling gun barrel, which this can be just attached on here like so. Then we have an ammo drum, which if you want can be attached onto the top. So then there's one option if you wanted a beam Gatling gun with an ammo drum on there. Another option is this part here, which is basically similar to the beam rifle. It's going to be very similar to that. It's just a two-segment part. And then we also have this part, which is like a camera sensor, which can be attached onto here. This can be tilted a little bit to one side or the other, a little bit if you want, not really to serve any purpose, but just it can. And this part, as you can see, is can be a little loose there in the end. I don't think that I've put anything in there incorrectly. It's just that if you move it at all, it can loosen this piece on the top, and if that top on the if you have that gap there, you just need to, that can be loose, just need to press that down and that'll be tighter in there. So this is another option. I don't really like this at all. But then we do have one last thing, and that is the Revolving Launcher, which is actually borrowed from the 2.0 Gundam, but we can use it with this kit by taking off this part and just putting this, attaching it onto here, and then putting this back on there like that. And there we go. Now we've got our beam rifle here with the Revolving Launcher on it. I like that we can use the Revolving Launcher, but I don't like it on this weapon. I don't like the look of this whole gun going on here, so attaching the Revolving Launcher on it is a slight improvement, but really not all that much. I mean, we could mix and match it a little bit, put the ammo drum on here instead, maybe a little bit better, but yeah, still not really liking that, so I'm just gonna get rid of that. I'm gonna keep the Gatling gun on there. Then here on the end, here is where our beam rifle is going to come back into play, because this can feed together like so. Just fold down that handle and then just attaches on there like that to make a long rifle. I mean, you could be long like that or long this way. I think this is pretty much the way it's supposed to be, with this part going out the back. But it could be either way you want, and then this you could also switch up as well. which one you want to be the top and the bottom. Either way, I think maybe it kind of looks better like that. What do you guys think? That, or I think it's kind of better like that, I think. So that is basically it for all the weapons. Now we have a lot of connection parts here. Now the first thing is our action-based connector. So here's the action-based connector. Just standard action-based looking connector. Then we also have these two connectors as well, which look like action-based connectors, and they're very, very similar. So just make sure you're careful about that. Don't confuse them. Don't throw this one out by mistake because you see this one first, or vice versa. These are not all action-based connectors. This smaller one is. These other two are actually connectors for attaching weapons onto the side skirts. So how you saw before, this part on the side skirt just slides down. Then we can plug this part here into the side like so. And then any of the weapon handles will fit into here. So just take any, and they all have handles, so just stick it on there, just stick it in, and that's it. Really simple. If you wanted to have one weapon mounted to the side skirt like so, you could just do like that, and there you go. Which helps a lot for a kit like this that has a lot of weapons. If you're the kind of person that likes to be able to put a lot of weapons onto the Gundam, here you go. You can definitely do that with this kit. So we've got two of those connection pieces that you can use either on the left or the right, or both if you wanted. So lots of options again there. And then we also have these connection pieces. So these are basically for making a double-ended sword. Basically, you can do other stuff with these as well. Of course, you're going to just have the hand hold the center part, and then you can stick these swords in both sides like that. You can have them opposite or both on the same side, pretty much whatever you want to do. Again, a lot of options here, even if you wanted to keep maybe this short blade on this beam, was that the handgun? Then you can make this really long double-ended sword there, where you've got the long sword and then the handgun and short sword together to make one long sword. So you got a long sword on each side. And then compared to the height of the Gundam, it's considerably taller. Not twice as tall, but it's definitely considerably taller than it. So you can go even further if you wanted. You could maybe take something like this. You could stick the two guns in it like that, and then have the Gundam holding in the center, and then you can be like holding two guns at once like that. Of course, it look pretty silly, but yeah, maybe if that's what you're into, then go for it. A lot of different options here as to what you want to do with these connection pieces, but there is more, as we also have 4 of these. Now I can't imagine you could possibly even find a use for 4 of these, but what these are basically just for mounting 2 weapons just side by side next to each other. So let's say, for example, we're gonna hand hold the bazooka up over the shoulder like that. We can take this piece and connect it into the side. This connection piece is the same size as the connection piece on the backpack. So anything that can be connected on the backpack can also be connected using these pieces here. So then let's take our beam handgun with the sword attachment and just connected that onto the side like that. Then there you go. You can have it holding a bazooka with a handgun sword attached onto the side of it like so. So pretty cool combinations you can do with that. If you wanted, you can attach, you could attach this beam saber together with the beam Gatling gun. Just all sorts of stuff that you can do with that. And of course, all of this stuff will connect onto the backpack and use these new arms here. So these things are very nicely articulated and much stronger than on the high grade, and that is the important part for me. So we just stick that into there, and then it's just going to, as long as that will stay in, come out, and you can see that can just hold it even like that, and not having any weight issues there. It's holding that up, no problem. Really nice design on those arms. very, very successful in my opinion. So that was one of the things I was worried about the most about this kit. As you can see, it's not going to be a problem whatsoever. Those arms are going to be working very well. So that is it for all the accessories. A lot of different options here. Let me go ahead and throw this up on an action base and we'll continue. Alright, here we go. So now at this point I basically have everything attached on there that I possibly can. I think really the only thing that's not on there is just the other beam saber effect parts, some of the connection pieces, which obviously can't use all of those at once, and then this rifle barrel with the revolving launcher, and then the other kind of camera. So pretty much everything is on there. So that's going to be pretty loaded, basically as loaded as it's ever going to be for me. I don't really personally like putting everything on a kit unless like it really looks good like that. For example, the Full Armor Unicorn Gundam is one that obviously is going to look good with everything on it, but this one is not really particularly my taste with all of this much stuff on it. And yeah, it could just be just some of the design of some of that stuff too. It's not really all to my personal taste. One thing I did notice as I was posing it that I made a mistake before talking about the articulation. I mentioned about the toes not being able to point down very far. They just were a little bit tight, so I didn't want to overextend or break anything, so I didn't push them down far enough, but with a little bit more push, those toes do point down farther, as you can see, so that's good. I'm glad about that. I guess I just forgot about that or something, I don't know. Anyway, so that's good. Do have more movement in the toes than I expected, or than I remembered, I should say. But yeah, with everything loaded on it, it looks okay, but I think probably your best bet is going to be just getting this in action poses, because I've got to say the articulation of this kit is quite impressive. The inner frame, that 2.0 inner frame is really, really working for this. So the best bet is going to be just choosing kind of which weapons you like the most, and then just getting in some really nice poses. I think this is not really the kit that you really want to have like totally fully loaded up like this, unless you really, really like the look of this, which is perfectly fair. But alright, now here again is maybe not even the best, but just another option for your pose here. If I can find my switch for my base, there we go. I'm going to try to set that rotating around without it running into the back there. Yeah, again, just all kinds of different options and things that you can do with the posing for this. So just trying to show off some of the articulation so you guys can get a good look at that. Here you can see a nice bending there in the stomach, and then just the legs, arms, everything. The articulation is very, very nice. The articulation of the arms, the mechanical arms for the backpack, is so much better than the HG. Such a relief that those are working well, as those are so important to this kit, I think, because mounting the weapons onto the backpack, I think, is one of the key features of this kit, and if it can't do that right, then that's definitely something that is going to be missing from the kit. So that was definitely one of my gripes about the HG. With this one, it's definitely not going to be a problem at all. Alright, so with that, or I guess I should say with this pose, it's pretty much about all I can say about this kit. One thing that I did forget to mention is that in the hands they do have the gimmick with the little peg that folds down in the hand that plugs into the weapon. I forgot about that until just now, so I was having a little bit of trouble with the hands actually gripping the weapons, but of course once you actually use that little peg and plug it in, it's obviously going to have a much better, stronger grip on the weapons. Very good, no problems there. Just be a little bit careful because it is a very small part, very easy to break, especially once you paint that, and that just gets a little bit tighter in there with the paint. Going to be very easy to break off that small little piece, so just be a little bit careful. This kit has some really great gimmicks, great articulation, great assortment of weapons. If you like the look of the weapons, I think the look of the weapons is not for everyone. A lot of them aren't really for me personally. The bazooka I like. This long one that I've got going there with the beam rifle attached to the Gatling gun is pretty cool. But some of the other ones are not really particularly my style. I don't know, there is enough options there. I'm sure you can find something that you like. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was the price of this kit. Now, as I said in the unboxing, I thought the price seemed a little bit high, and at this point, I don't know if I could really change that opinion, because at 4,800 yen, I think that price is still a little bit high. Now, of course, the majority of this kit is new. Some people might think, oh, a lot of it is just recycled runners, it shouldn't be that expensive. That's true. The majority of the inner frame is recycled, kind of, but we do have a lot of leftover parts, the majority of them probably aren't going to be all that useful for, like, if you want to do customs and stuff, unless you're doing like some scratch building. You might be able to use some of those parts, but the majority of them maybe not so much. But I don't know, I mean, the majority of the kit is new, a lot of weapons there, kind of, or a lot of options anyway. I don't know, I think 4,800 yen is a little bit high. But you are getting a really nice kit. I mean, that 2.0 frame just is really, really good. The armor looks nice. It's a little bit plain, but if that's what you like, then that's good. Or, I mean, if you want to go in and add more details to it, a lot of opportunities here to do that. The gimmicks are pretty good. Weapons are good. Yeah, so I think it is definitely a really good kit. If it's worth 4,800 yen to you, that's just up to you how much you personally like it. Is it worth that? I would say, yeah. If this is appealing to you, then yeah, it's worth it. It's a really, really nice kit. So I will compare this to the HG now. That's pretty much going to be the end of the review, end of me talking anything about this kit anyway. I'll just put it side by side just so you guys can just see it. Just a quick 360 spin around next to the HG, just for just a little bit of a comparison for anyone who wants to see that. But otherwise, that's about all I have to say about this kit. It's a good kit anyway. If you guys have any other questions or comments about it, leave those down below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.